You know, it's funny when we think about ancient Rome, like huge names like Julius Caesar just pop into our heads. But today we're going deep on someone who maybe doesn't always get the same spotlight, but was instrumental in shaping the Roman Empire, Marcus Agrippa. His story, I think it's safe to say, is anything but a footnote, and we've got some great sources here to unpack just how much he achieved.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, we often focus so much on the emperors themselves, but it's the people behind the throne, right? The advisors, the strategists who can really make or break things.
Absolutely. We're talking of the ultimate right-hand man to Augustus, the first Roman emperor. But Agrippa was so much more than just a sidekick, especially when Rome was in such a state of flux, like transitioning from a republic to an empire.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. Rome at this time was just full of power struggles and civil wars.
Hmm?
Ambitious figures like Mark Antony and Cleopatra were vying for control, and into this chaotic world steps Agrippa, a man of seemingly humble beginnings, whose military genius and, unwavering loyalty just helped him rise through the ranks.
Yeah, it's almost like a buddy cop movie, except with the fate of an empire at stake.
Yeah.
They even started out together, born the same year, 63 BC. Imagine that. Future emperor and his most trusted advisor, maybe causing a little mischief together in their younger days.
Well, maybe not mischief, but they did study together under the philosopher Apollonius of Rhodes, and this shared education probably built the foundation, right, for their lifelong partnership, both intellectually and personally.
Huh.
It makes you wonder how much that early bond, right, shaped their later decisions.
It's a fascinating thought, and their partnership really did have an enormous impact on Rome. But before we get into that, we have to talk about Agrippa's, battlefield prowess. His first big win was at the Battle of Mutina in 43 BC, where he fought alongside Octavian before he became Augustus after the assassination of Julius Caesar. That victory set the stage for their future successes and really solidified their bond as a formidable force.
Yeah, absolutely. That battle was a huge turning point for them. But it was in the naval arena where Agrippa truly made a name for himself.
Uh,
You have to remember, this was a time when controlling the seas meant controlling trade, particularly Rome's vital grain supply from Egypt. Sextus Pompey, son of Pompey the Great, had control of Sicily and was disrupting that flow, which you can imagine was a major threat to Rome's stability.
so how did Agrippa counter that? Was it just superior numbers?
Well, numbers helped. But Agrippa also had a trick up his sleeve. The corvus. It was this boarding device that revolutionized naval warfare, essentially turning sea battles into land fights. Roman warships would close in on enemy vessels and bam, down came these huge planks fitted with metal hooks, latching onto the enemy ships and allowing Roman soldiers to storm across and fight hand to hand.
Yeah, it's kind of brutal, but incredibly innovative, too. It completely changed the dynamic of naval warfare. What did that mean in practice?
Well, take the Battle of Naulochus in 36 BC. Agrippa used his corvus to devastating effect, crushing Sextus Pompey's fleet and securing those crucial grain routes. I mean, Rome was safe from starvation, and Agrippa's reputation, it just soared.
Yeah, what I find so interesting is that he was not only a skilled commander, but also a brilliant strategist and innovator. That combination is pretty lethal, but his biggest challenge was yet to come, right?
Oh, absolutely. The Battle of Actium in 31 BC was the ultimate showdown. Mark Antony and Cleopatra versus Octavian and Agrippa. I mean, the future of Rome literally hung in the balance. This wasn't just another battle. It was like a clash of titans.
And once again, Agrippa's strategic brilliance was key. He masterfully chipped away at Antony's forces, cutting off their supply lines, and then at the perfect moment, he positioned his fleet for a decisive victory. The result: Antony and Cleopatra were defeated, their ambitions crumbling into the sea. It was a victory that changed the course of history.
And certainly did. With Antony and Cleopatra out of the picture, Octavian became Augustus, the first Roman emperor. And Agrippa's role in this victory can't be overstated. He cemented his position as Augustus's most trusted general and advisor, and he helped usher in the Pax Romana, a period of peace and prosperity that would define an era.
It's amazing to think how this one man, through his military genius and unwavering loyalty, helped shape the future of an empire. But I have a feeling his story doesn't end there.
Oh, not even close. In fact, it's about to get a lot more interesting as we move beyond the battlefield and delve into Agrippa's other remarkable achievements. You see, this wasn't just a man of war. He was a builder, a diplomat, and a visionary.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. We're going to have to dive into all of that in part two. But for now, I think we can all agree that when it comes to Roman history, Marcus Agrippa deserves way more than a footnote.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
All right, so we left off with Agrippa at the peak of his military career, having secured victory for Augustus and kind of set the stage for the Roman Empire. But what happens like after the dust settles? Did he just retire to a life of luxury?
Well, not quite. That's what's so fascinating about Agrippa. He wasn't content to just rest on his laurels. He had this incredible drive to improve Rome, not just through military might, but through its very fabric. He became this master architect and city planner, completely transforming the cityscape and the lives of like everyday Romans.
Okay, I'm picturing him swapping his military garb for like a toga and hard hat? So where do we even begin with his architectural achievements? What stands out to you?
Well, we could start with something essential to any bustling city: water. Agrippa was almost obsessed with ensuring that Rome had a reliable, clean water supply. And this wasn't just about convenience. It had a huge impact on public health and sanitation.
Yeah, I can't imagine what a city of 1 million people would be like without proper plumbing. That's asking for trouble. So how did he tackle this?
He oversaw the construction of several aqueducts, these marvels of engineering that brought fresh water into Rome from miles away. Two of his most famous projects, the Aqua Julia and the Aqua Virgo, they're just testaments to his vision.
Wait, the Aquavirgo, isn't that?
You got it. It still functions today. It's supplying water to that iconic Roman landmark, the Trevi Fountain. Talk about a lasting legacy.
That's incredible. It blows my mind to think that something built almost 2,000 years ago is still working today. That says a lot about the ingenuity and skill of Roman engineers and, of course, Agrippa's vision. But if I remember correctly, he wasn't just focused on, like, infrastructure. He had a grander vision for the city, right?
You're absolutely right. Agrippa understood the power of architecture to inspire awe and create a sense of civic pride. He wanted Rome to reflect its newfound status, right, as the capital of a vast empire. And nowhere is this more evident than in his work on the Pantheon.
Ah, the Pantheon. That incredible dome, the oculus letting in a beam of light from above. Even today, it's one of the most impressive buildings from ancient Rome. Agrippa built the original, right?
He did, though it was rebuilt later by Emperor Hadrian. The Pantheon we marvel at today is based on Agrippa's original design from 27 BC. His use of concrete, the sheer scale of the dome, it was groundbreaking for the time.
So he was a visionary, a master builder. It's almost like he was centuries ahead of his time. But the Pantheon was just one piece of the puzzle. He also built baths, temples, gardens. Essentially, he gave Rome a complete makeover. Did he have a specific aesthetic in mind, or was it more about functionality?
It was a delicate balance, I think. Agrippa wanted Rome to be both beautiful and functional. He believed that public spaces should serve a purpose while also inspiring a sense of community and belonging. These weren't just buildings, they were gathering places for people from all walks of life. Think about the Roman baths. They were social hubs as much as they were places to bathe.
It makes you wonder what it would have been like to stroll through ancient Rome during Agrippa's time, to see these bustling public spaces, to experience the grandeur he envisioned. But let's not forget his impact extended beyond the city of Rome itself. He played a crucial role in managing the vast and diverse Roman Empire, didn't he?
Absolutely. In 23 BC, Augustus appointed Agrippa governor of the eastern provinces. I mean, imagine the challenge. A region teeming with different cultures, potential conflicts. Yet Agrippa excelled in this role, proving himself to be not just a military leader, but a skilled diplomat and administrator.
So he wasn't just conquering territory. He was managing it, building relationships, and maintaining stability. That seems like a whole different skill set. What were some of his successes in this area?
Well, he managed to maintain peace and order in the East without resorting to major military campaigns. He was a master negotiator, preferring diplomacy and understanding over brute force. One of his most notable achievements was negotiating the return of the legionary eagles lost to Parthia years earlier.
Wait, back up. Legionary eagles, you've piqued my curiosity.
Oh yeah, these were the standards of the Roman legions. Each legion had its own eagle, often made of silver or gold, topped with a small figure of Jupiter. They were incredibly important symbols, representing the very spirit and soul of the Roman army. Losing them was a massive blow to Roman morale, almost a national humiliation.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like losing a flag in battle. So how did Agrippa manage to get them back? Was it through military force?
No. He did it through careful diplomacy and a deep understanding of Parthian culture and politics. He understood that the eagles held symbolic value for the Parthians as well, so he skillfully negotiated their return. achieving a peaceful resolution that benefited both sides.
That's really impressive. Talk about a win-win situation. It saved face for Rome, boosted morale, and likely strengthened diplomatic ties with Parthia. Agrippa was really a man of many talents, wasn't he? It seems like he excelled at everything he set his mind to. But in the midst of all this public achievement, I'm curious about his personal life. Do we know anything about his family, his relationships? Did he ever marry?
That's a great question, and it leads us into another fascinating chapter of his life. His personal story is deeply intertwined with the political landscape of the time. You see, in 21 BC, Augustus arranged for Agrippa to marry his own daughter, Julia the Elder.
Oh, wow. A marriage orchestrated by the emperor himself. This sounds like something straight out of a Shakespearean drama. I can only imagine the political implications of such a union.
Exactly, and it's through this marriage that Agrippa's story takes another intriguing turn.
So it went off with Agrippa marrying Julia the Elder, Augustus's daughter. Talk about a power couple. I'm guessing this wasn't just, a love match. There had to be some serious political maneuvering behind this union.
Absolutely, yeah. This marriage, it was a strategic masterstroke by Augustus. It solidified Agrippa's position, right, within the imperial family, and even made his children potential heirs to the throne.
Wow, that's high stakes. Did their marriage have any impact on Agrippa's, career trajectory? Did it change his relationship with Augustus at all?
Well, if anything, it strengthened their bond, I think. Augustus clearly trusted Agrippa implicitly, both as a general and, as a potential guardian for his future heirs. And he granted Agrippa significant power and responsibility, including tribunician power, a huge deal in Roman politics.
Oh.
This essentially made Agrippa like a co-ruler, further solidifying his role as Augustus's right-hand man.
So he went from trusted friend to family to co-ruler. That's quite a rise. It makes you wonder what might have happened if things had gone differently. Like, if Agrippa had lived longer than Augustus, could he have become emperor himself?
It's certainly an intriguing question. We can only speculate, but given Agrippa's popularity, with the people and the army, his proven leadership and his lack of, overt ambition for the top job, it's possible he could have transitioned smoothly into the role. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. Agrippa died in 12 BC at the relatively young age of 51, predeceasing Augustus by several years.
That's really tragic. It makes you think about the fragility of life, even for someone as powerful and accomplished as Agrippa. But even though his life was cut short, he achieved so much. As we kind of wrap up our deep dive, I'm curious, how do you think Agrippa would want to be remembered?
That's a great question. I think he'd want to be remembered for his dedication to Rome, for his tireless efforts to improve the lives of its citizens. He was a man of action, not just words. He didn't seek glory for himself. He sought results for Rome. The aqueducts, the Pantheon, the military victories, the diplomatic triumphs, these were all expressions of his unwavering commitment to the empire.
Yeah, he was a true public servant, a man who put the needs of Rome above his own. It's a quality that's sadly lacking in many leaders today. But there's one more thing I want to touch on. Throughout our deep dive, we've talked about Agrippa's military genius, his architectural vision, his diplomatic skills. But what about his personality? What kind of man was he?
Well, the sources are a bit thin on the personal details, but they do paint a picture of a man who was incredibly disciplined, stoic, and devoted to duty. He was known for his efficiency, his practicality, and, his ability to just get things done.
Sounds like he was all business.
He was definitely a man of action. But there are hints of the softer side, too. He was a patron of the arts and a supporter of education. He even commissioned a biography of his own life, perhaps wanting to ensure his contributions weren't forgotten.
It's interesting, isn't it? This man who achieved so much, who played such a pivotal role in shaping history, still felt the need to have his story told, to leave a record of his accomplishments. Maybe it shows a hint of insecurity, or maybe just a deep understanding of the importance of, preserving history.
I think it speaks to his awareness of his legacy. He knew that history is often written by the victors, and he wanted to make sure his side of the story was heard. And thankfully, it has been. Agrippa's legacy lives on not just in the physical structures he built, but in the very foundations of the Roman Empire. His influence can still be felt today every time we marvel at the Pantheon or, sip from a fountain fed by an ancient aqueduct.
It's an incredible legacy. Marcus Agrippa, military strategist, architect, diplomat, and a man who helped shape the world we live in today. It's been a fascinating deep dive.
It truly has. And as we conclude this exploration of Agrippa's life and achievements, we're left with a thought-provoking question. Whose contributions are we overlooking today? Who are the unsung heroes, the behind-the-scenes figures who are shaping our world in ways we may not even realize?
That's something to ponder. Maybe the next Agrippa's out there right now, quietly working, building, and shaping the future. And that, my friends, is what makes history so fascinating. It's full of surprises, hidden connections, and individuals who, even in the shadows, leave an indelible mark on the world.
Well said. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep into the stories that matter.